So today I'm actually going to be doing a scene by scene spoiler talk discussion review for the movie Hoodwinked that came out in 2005. I'm going to give a little synopsis of it. So it says Grizzly and Stork are critter cops who are investigating disturbance of peace at between Granny, her granddaughter Little Red Riding Hood, a big bad wolf, and a woodsman. As the duo interviews the parties involved, they suspect Granny is not as helpless as she lets on. Little Red Riding Hood, has hidden motives. Wolf is not much of a predator, and the woodsman might be as dense as the tree that he cuts down. Yeah, we are going to get into this. Before we do so, do not forget to leave a comment down below. Also, like and subscribe to this channel. Now, let's get into the scene by scene spoiler talk. This first starts out, you have Little Red Riding Hood. She's entering her granny's house. She sees that she's narrating, and you see that a wolf is dressed as Granny. Okay? You see that he has a bad plastic, phony baloney Granny Puckett mask on. Red is instantly like, you are not my Granny. What's going on? So then it's this whole thing where she's like, oh, what big hands you have, what big ears you have, what big eyes you have, what bad breath you have. And he's like, oh, are we just gonna talk about how big I'm getting? Look, you came here for a reason. Okay. So then Red's like, oh, what's going on? And then the wolf, she finds out it's the wolf, obviously not her granny. He's like, oh, you've been dodging me all day. Might as well give up now. So it's like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Then you see Granny Puckett. She pops out of a closet already like wrapped up in like some kind of twine or whatever. It's like, what? Then you see a German axeman. He comes out, busts through the window going like this. So it's like, what is going on? Okay. So then we cut to the police come in. All right. So in that whole scene, we got Red coming into her granny's house. She sees the wolf in her granny's bed pretending to be the grandma. And then the granny comes out. She's already tied up, constrained. And then the X-Man comes out. And it's like, whoa, what is going on? How is this even happening? Why is this even happening? There's so many little small dialogues that is going on in here that I enjoyed throughout this movie. So one person says, I just want to go home and hibernate, because they're a bear, obviously, So they're up in Granny's house. And they're like, is this the cookbook lady, Granny? Because she's Granny Puckett. They have all of these different kinds of pastries that her and her family have collected all from around the world. And, they're still looking to this day for different recipes and stuff like that. And they put him into his book, and, they sell these pastries as their business. That's what happens. Red is over here talking to the bear. He's like the police chief. He's played by Exhibit, I believe. And he's like, oh, well, shouldn't you be in school? She's like, shouldn't I have a lawyer? And he's like, get her. He was so mean up here, yo. This chief was mean. He was just like, case is closed. We're going to book him. And it's like, dude, you didn't get any evidence. You're just looking like, okay, well, this happened. Okay, I know what happened. No. So the chief then says like, oh, Red, she was making deliveries to the goodies tycoon. Oh, you see, she's evil. That's what's going on. She was making deliveries to the granny. Wolf tries to eat him. The German axeman was quick to come in vigilante style and take the stuff. We're done. All right, I got it. And then you got the frog who comes in, okay? And I believe he's Anthony Anderson. And the frog, he's like the top investigator dude. He was like, I don't think that's what happened. And the Grizzly's like, no, that's what happened, man. You see, this is what happened. I already got it. Granny, Red, she's over making deliveries to Granny. The wolf tries to eat him. Axeman comes in, boom, boom, boom. He's like, nah, man, you jumping to conclusions, yo. Let's go and figure out what really happened. So, so then they're like, okay, the first person we're going to interview or interrogate really is Red Riding Hood. So they bring her in. And mind you, this is not like, okay, we're in a closed room. We're in Granny's house, okay? And everybody's around, so everyone can hear everything that's going on. They didn't take them downtown or, whatever. So I thought it was pretty funny that they did that. And the frog, he's like, why did they call you Red? And she was like, it's because of the red hood I'm wearing. She's like, why did they call you flippers? And you see this cutscene. He's like, go flippers, go flippers. She was like, I wear it because of the red hood I'm wearing. He's like, what if you're not wearing? She's like, I usually wear it. I thought that was, the dialogue here, the lines were so funny to me. Okay. So they're trying to figure out what all happened. So we go to Red's, they're interrogating her, and we have a flashback. So everything that happens, any interrogation that happens, they give us a flashback so we can see everything that happened, obviously, before we got to the point that we were at. So we have Red, and she's singing, there's a story I hope you'll like. It's the one about the girl riding on her bike. Oh, she's over here singing and all that. And I was like, okay, this song. So she's singing as she's riding her bike through the woods, okay? So she then encounters on her little bike ride a rabbit named Boingo. So he tells her, he's like, someone, stole my boss's recipe and now I'm out of a job. I mean, I still run the cable car, but I mean, I don't have any real work that I was making a big bucks for. She's like, oh, that's so sad. And she's like, well, here's a cupcake, I feel so bad for you. And he was like, well, thank you. You're so sweet. Okay. So then as she's riding her bike, you see a whole bunch of just like out of business signs, like everyone's recipes are getting stolen by somebody, whoever the goody bandit is. Somebody's stealing all their stuff. So then Red, she's like getting nervous. She's like, I don't know if we're gonna be safe because I mean, all these people's stuff is getting stolen and we're in the pastry business too, so are we safe? So she goes and calls her grandmother. And she was like, what should I do? Should I just bring you the recipe book so that they don't get stolen? And the grandma's like, no, you just stay right there. But, she seemed like, she seemed like something was wrong with her in the granny's voice. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever. I guess I'll keep the books. So then she gets off the phone with her granny. And she's like, oh, I want to get out of this forest. I want to travel, all that. She starts talking to a bird. And she's like, I just want to travel. My granny says it's so dangerous, but I just want to live life and be free. Okay. So then as she's chilling or whatnot, just contemplating life, someone throws a rock out the window as she's contemplating life. And then she sees it says, you're next. And she's like, oh my God. And she's like, you know what? Forget this. I got to take matters into my own hands. And then she's like, I'm going to go on a mission to save these recipes, my family's, my granny's pocket recipes, all this other stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. So she's going to be taking a dangerous mission up the mountain to save the recipes from being stolen because obviously someone just threatened, you're next. So as I said earlier, we have the little rabbit named Boingo. He runs the cable cart. So she's like, okay, I need to get across the mountain, blah blah, through the woods, all that. So she goes on the cable cart and they're talking and whatnot, and he's like, yeah, it's just so upsetting that this happened. And out of nowhere the cable cart door opens up. I mean, they're in the air, y'all. Okay. It's falling. But what I found to be interesting was how you see Boingo, he's like and I'm like, why are you mad? I mean, your girl, she just fell. I mean, what are you mad about? I mean, it's upsetting, it's sad, but why are you looking mad? Okay, so I was like, okay. So then as she's falling and everything, she encounters the wolf. He starts growling, and then he takes a picture of her. She has a giant flash that happens. She's like, what the heck is that? The wolf wants to take her basket of goodies, okay? And she ends up evading him. Then he says, I'll get you and your little granny too. So it was like, oh, maybe the grizzly was right. Maybe the wolf is the bad guy because, the big bad wolf and all that stuff that goes on in these child stories. Maybe this is him and he is bad. Okay. Uh-oh. So then those two are now separated. Red is still on her own. So she goes to the mountain and she sees this goat. And this goat, he can only say things in a song. So if it's like, hey, how are you doing? It's like, hey, how are you doing? Stuff like that. It's like, he can't just say, hey, how are you doing? So he's singing and all that. And she's like, yo, I'm looking for Granny Puckett's house, over here. And he was like, oh, I got it. And then he just goes into this whole singing, okay? I got horns to open bottles. I got horns to hold my keys. I got horns when I turn around. They help me watch TVs. I got horns that open pickle jars. I got horns that come with hair. Got horns that hang my other horns. I always come prepared. I loved it, yo. I loved it. His singing was really good. So then while he is helping her to, get past the mountain and all that, she goes and calls her granny. And you see, like, the granny's in this little talking bubble on the screen. And it looks like there's snow behind her. And the granny looks like she got goggles on. I'm like, you don't look like you were in your house. So what's going on? Granny, she's like, ah. And then the granny's like, and then Red's like, oh my goodness. My granny's being attacked. Something's going on because I just heard her scream. I need to get over there. I need to get over there now. So that's what she ends up doing. But on the way over there, they're on this like a little kind of a train cart thing with the goat so they can get past the mountain and everything. An avalanche starts coming. He's like, avalanche is coming, and I guess I was prepared. Prepared, all this other stuff. And then it's like, oh my goodness, the avalanche is coming. And then you see on this little train track area, it's like blown up. So someone somehow blew it up and it wasn't repaired. So it was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So now the goat and Red are in the air. The goat end up having ears, horns that had like propellers on her. So he's like flying. Meanwhile, Red, she had her hood and she's seen out of the sky, Granny Puckett says, Red, use the hood, Red, use the hood. And then she's like, okay. And then, she ends up flying down or whatnot. And I'm like, what? Okay. So then we cut to as she fell down, she sees her granny's house. So she walks in, and then now it's the scene that we've seen in the beginning of this, where the wolf is there pretending to be the grandma, granny comes out and all that. So, and the Axeman comes screaming. So it's like, okay, well, that was her rendition of the story. Now, what else is there left? So now it's the wolf's turn. Red is walking out of the interrogation area, and which is just a dining room table, y'all. Okay. Girl. And then we have the wolf. He's coming in, and they just got like these little looks like, you ain't ish. And she's like, you ain't ish, right? And she's like, you might as well confess. I told them everything. And then he's like, can you just keep her away from me? And I loved it, okay? And then the freaking bear, the chief dude, he's like, you're looking at 3 to 5 in the ocean with no windows, so start talking, okay? So he's like, I'm gonna start telling my story. And then you have the frog, big chief dude or whatever. You have the frog. He was like, you look familiar, wolf. He's like, where do I know you? And he was like, oh, I know. He was like, he's not this big bad wolf. He's a reporter. And they're like, what? How is this dude a reporter? They're like, oh, so now the story gets a little, here's your twist. Because he's not the big bad wolf that everyone's telling everyone to be afraid of. He's a reporter. This is his job, okay? So he's like, I got the real story. So it's like, uh-oh. So now we cut to his story, which is a flashback like how Red's was. And now we see it from his perspective. He's like, I'm going undercover. He has bad disguises and all the other stuff, okay? And he's with this squirrel named Twitchy or Twitch. I think it was Twitchy. And that's his homeboy or whatnot. So as Red is riding on her bike, he sees Red and he's suspicious of her. He's like, why the hood? Who is she moving goodies for? So he's trying to figure out what's going on. Because all these businesses are going out. All these businesses are going out of business. But hers. I wonder why that is. So we see that his squirrel Twitchy, and this fool on some drugs. I don't care where he was at. This fool on some drugs, okay? He's like, and it was like, what is going on? Okay. So then we cut to a scene where he's just trying to get some information, trying to get the scoop, the low down dirt, okay? So then he meets this Italiano sheep, okay? And then he has like this little, black jet black hair and all that, okay? So he sees him slick back hair like a greaser. And he's like, okay, you gotta give me some information, dude. Come on, man. You my homeboy. And then the sheep was like, well, I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. Here's some money. Okay, well, no. The information he was giving him was about Granny Puckett and Red. He's like, they're related, but that's all I know. I had nothing to get me to talk. He's like, here's some more money. Well, okay, processing. Well, they live over here. Granny lives over here. She's the Granny Puckett with all the recipes, and that's her granddaughter. And he was like, oh, okay. So you had to get some information out of him. Now, we cut to a scene where the wolf is following Red as she's on the cable cart, okay? Taking pictures and all that of her. So then he sees how she falls, okay? And he's like, okay, what's going on? And then his stomach, because he hasn't eaten, okay? His stomach, he's like, man, when I was talking to that sheep, I got hungry. He said, I gotta make some food. I gotta order some food, whatever. So his stomach is growling. So that growling that Red heard was really his stomach. It wasn't... He was like, Rrr. He was just hungry. So then we have another part where he actually does kind of growl at him, but it's because Twitchy was winding up his tail in the film for the camera, and that's what caused it. So it's interesting to see both sides of the story, okay? So then the wolf, he's like, okay, I gotta go chase her. He's like, she's fast. And he's like, okay, taxi. A taxi that just happens to be in the woods. He's like, taxi, drive me up there so I can get in front of her. Then he's in the car, he's jamming to some music, and he's like, oh, shoot. That was her. Just let me go. Right? So now he's ahead of her, okay? And then, she evades him by, being like, okay, whatever. So now they're separated because she evaded him. And he was like, I'm going to get you and your little granny too. But now we see it from a different perspective of what that actually means, because he's like, I'm a reporter, I'm getting to the low down dirt. She thinking, okay, he's trying to kill us, he's trying to steal my recipes. Okay, so now he's like, okay, Twitchy, we gotta make a plan to go to Granny Puckett's house, and then we're gonna see like what's going on, because we gotta get the information. We're reporters. So then Boingo pops up. This is the little rabbit from earlier who is now out of business, because his boss lost his recipes and now he's running the cable car. So Boingo pops up and he's like, oh, I could give you directions to Granny's. And he wrote on an Easter egg or whatnot. They were trash. Okay. And then you had Twitchy, and you had the one they're like, never trust a bunny. Yeah, never trust a bunny. I love that. He said, I should just stuck to writing movie reviews instead of doing reporting. The Twitch was like, we're gonna die in here. I loved it. So then we see that he's in an area with these directions, with that whole train cable car, not cable, but this whole little train cart area, okay, where Red and the goat were. So they're like, oh wow, let's just get on here and this will be much easier. So they're on it or whatnot, and you have the squirrel, you have Twitchy, he sees a box of candles. He's like, oh, these are nice. And the wolf was like, oh, light them up. Then he was like, dinamite. Must be Italian. He's like, because it's dynamite. So then he throws them out and it destroys the bridge. That explains why when Red and the goat went on the bridge, why it was, or, the tracks, why it was all destroyed, because they destroyed it. So I thought that was hilarious. So then we cut to him now going to Granny's house, okay? And he pretends to be Granny, obviously. He puts Twitchy into the closet, and you see that Granny's already in the closet tied up. And it's like, wait, how is she tied up? Okay. So then we cut back to present time, and the bear, he was like, oh, convenient. Oh, she was already tied up. And Twitchy had photos to confirm the story. So it was like, oh, okay. And then now it's time for the Axeman, and maybe we should ask him ourselves, okay? So now it's the German Axeman story time. Okay, he's an aspiring actor. He sucks, by the way. He wants to be a part of like a yodeler. He also sells schnitzel on the side. Okay, people got these hustles, okay? And then the song, one part of it said, no more spoons, use your hand, says the famous schnitzel man. And I loved it, okay? And then the song gets cut short because you find out as he's giving all of these schnitzel sticks to these little kids, his truck gets stolen. What? And what do you know? Boingo pops up and is like, oh man, your stuff got stolen. He He was like, yeah. He's like, man, that's unfortunate. Ooh, well, it's time for me to go. Okay. So then he's up there wallowing, sad, and then he finds out he got a call back. They're like, yo, we got a role for you. We want you to be a woodsman. Go find that little woodsman in you. So he's like, okay, yeah, I can do it. Dummy doesn't know how to use an axe. He finally figures out how to use an axe. And then he's just destroying the forest. I mean, he's just chopping down trees left and right. Until he gets to this big tree. I mean, this tree is massive in diameter. That it spends like hours upon hours just chopping it down. Just because he can. And then he hears a scream. And he's like, what's that? And then the tree finally let go and it starts rolling down. And then that's essentially how he broke through the window. Okay. So now it's like, okay, we got 3 people's stories, but something ain't. Who's the goody bandit? Okay. We don't know. So now it's Granny's turn to start talking, y'all. Okay. She got a tattoo on the back of her neck. She's supposed to be this nice, sweet woman and all of this other stuff, okay? And Red says, my granny doesn't keep secrets. She tells me everything. And then now people are wondering like, ooh, what's her secret? I mean, it has to be something because we got 3 stories over here, but something ain't adding up. Something ain't right. They go and see a closet of hers. There's trophies, medals for sports, and all types of stuff. She has 3 G's tattooed on the back of her neck. She's loving extreme sports. And Red's like, this can't be because my granny, she doesn't want me going out of the woods. So how is that she's doing all this? Okay. So we see a scene where she is snowboarding, y'all. Miss, oh, you got to stay in the forest. Oh, and you can't do this. And you out here snowboarding. Okay, so she's out here snowboarding, and in that scene where she was talking to Red and she screamed, and Red's like, oh, I gotta go and save my granny. She was at a snowboarding competition, y'all. Okay, and then you see her and her team, y'all. This dialogue. This dialogue was a little cringe. It was like, okay. Because we got, what up, my homies, faux shizzle. And I was like, okay, nobody says this, y'all. We ain't got to do it. Okay. So then we see before she's about to start the competition with her and her homeboys and homegirls, we see that Boingo pops up and asks for an autograph. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now we got the snowboarding competition that's beginning. And we have like these German people who are trying to kill Granny and her crew. Okay, so it's this whole beef rivalry going on over here. And they're trying to go and kill her, whatever. They end up getting some of these bandits. Boom, 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 bow, bow, bow. And then you see that Granny ends up, in a point where, she's dangling by her hands. She's just trying to hold on. She's like, oh, I just got to hold on. And then you have one of the bandits. She's like, who do you work for? He's like, I can't tell you that. She's like, you tell me right now. He's like, and then drops her. And it's like, oh my God, Granny Puck is going to die, y'all. Oh, child. Okay. So I was like, oh my goodness. So then you see that somehow she got explosives. And she blew up this whole ice area, this ice mountain, all this. And that's how the avalanche starts. Okay. That was affecting the wolf and Red. Okay. So she started that. Okay. She ends up heading home. Okay. Oh, mind you, before all that, she sees that Red is falling, from the sky and all the other stuff. So that's how she appeared right there when Red saw her. And it wasn't just in her imagination. She saw her because she was actually there. So then she was like, oh, that's my girl. She used her hood. Oh, yes, girl. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go head home. And she sees the wolf is heading to her house. She's like, oh, it's just one of those days. So she goes through the chimney, but her fan is rotating and her paragliding, parachute thing, the thing gets tangled up, and that's how she wraps it. So she wrapped herself up essentially, unintentionally, of course. And that's how she ended up in the closet. So now you see that, now we cut to the main scene that we seen. All right. So she's in there. Twitchy gets thrown in the closet. She's like, what's going on? The wolf, Red, and the Axeman. And now we see that this is our main story. So now we've had 4 stories so far. We had Red, the wolf, Axeman, and we had Granny. Okay, so now the question is still, who is the goody bandito? Okay, so we don't know. But after Granny, ooh, child, once she was done telling her story, y'all, Red was looking like, who you? Like, I thought my granny was knitting and just hanging out, making cookies and stuff. And you over here are doing all these extreme sports, but I can't leave the forest, but you leave it every day. Okay. And then we got this whole song, which I really like. It was like, red is blue. It doesn't make much sense, but oh, and I was like, okay. I loved it, y'all. Okay. So you just see Red. She's just reflecting on all the times where her grandmother lied to her. She's like, this biatch, she over here gonna do all this. She ain't right for that. Okay. So we see everyone's just, they're kind of separated a little bit. You have the main people there in the house. Red walked away. She was like, forget y'all. Everyone else was in the house. But Red separated herself. She's like, whatever, yeah. So then we see, because everyone's trying to absorb all the information. So then we go and see it was the pigs. They're playing cards, as they should be working, but whatever. And they says, is it a full house or a flush that wins? And like, a full house, I should know. I built mine out of straw. I'm not an idiot. Because you got the different pigs that made their houses out of different things, the brick, the straw and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny. They got some good lines up here, yo. So then you see that the chief and the frog dude, I guess, I don't know what his super whatever. Okay, but you got the chief, the bear, and the frog. They get into an argument because they're like, the case is not closed, and the bear's like, yo, we're done. We don't even need all these interviews. We're done. The case is closed, but finito. And then the frog's like, yo, we still don't know who the band is. I'm later for that. And I'm like, dude, you suck. Before that, so he was like, we're all trying to just figure out who did it. So then we see a Red Hood go and snatch them goodies. Okay, y'all? Someone in a red hood goes and snatch the goodies while no one's paying attention and gets away. And Red, she has left. Okay, so it's like, ooh, Red is on that mess, y'all. But then we cut, and the frog, he's like, yo, he's telling everyone. He's like, we're just trying to see what's going on. He's like, I think I know who did it. They're like, you got Granny, you're just a liar. Wolf, you just being nosy all up in everyone's business. Axeman, you over here destroying forest property. But he was like, I think I know who did it. And they're like, who? This is the bunny. He was in each one of y'all's stories. Think about it. For Red, oh, Boingo, your boss, his recipes got stolen. Oh, here's a cupcake, and you're running a cable car. And remember how I told y'all earlier with the whole, oh, he had like an angry face when she fell, and it's like, well, why would you be angry? This is your homegirl, right? Then we got the wolf. Oh, you're trying to go to Granny's. Oh, let me go and get an Easter egg. Let me go write the directions on there. Okay. Then you got the Axeman. Oh, your schnitzel thing. Oh, it got robbed. Oh. Okay. And then you got Granny. Y'all can't see my hands. I'm on 4 now. But then we got Granny. Oh, I'm just write it to your biggest fans. Boingo. Okay. 4 times. And y'all all just said, okay. So we know who did it. So then they're like, the bunny's gone, the girl's gone, and the recipes are gone. They're like, oh no. Okay. So you have the police. They're like, okay, we're going to do our thing. But Granny, Twitchy, the wolf, and the Axeman, they're like, yo, we got to take it into our own hands, and we are going to rescue Red. Okay. So the wolf is like, okay, we need to get to this particular area, and we have the other group that needs to get to this particular area. So he gives Twitch coffee, and yo, Twitchy, this fool gets like, he exploded. Crazy, okay? So he's going to go and warn the police officers about what's going on. Meanwhile, the other 3, they're going to go and do what they got to do. So the bunny, he starts doing this. He starts telling his evil plan. He's like, I'm going to be top of the woods. I'm going to be on top of the woods. He's doing his whole little song. I liked it. But we see that Red confronts the bunny, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna go and get you." And she's doing her karate stuff. You find out she's like a black belt or something. But this bunny, yo, his ears, he like he got it, okay. And I'm like, Red, no. So then he goes and like, captures her or whatnot, puts it to the side, and then he. The Boingo starts ragging on this one dude named Keith. He was like, we got Boris, Kojo. He was like, and Keith. He's like, Keith, God dang it, change your name. He's like, no one's going to be like, oh, Keith, watch out for Keith. And I was cracking up because it actually reminded me of white chicks that do Keith up in there. Keith, while she's like vomiting and she's vomiting in the toilet. She's like, oh, Keith. And so every time I hear that name, I kind of think of that scene right there. It was hilarious. But you have Boingo, who is essentially, his evil plan is this. He's essentially trying to add in crack. That's really what it is. He's trying to add in additives and crack into these snacks so that people, they can't live without the crack. I'm sorry, they can't live without the snacks. Okay, so that's what the main plan is. So essentially he's just trying to add crack to these snacks. That's really what it is, so that people get so addicted to it and want to keep buying. And then he finally says, "You've been hoodwinked, baby." And I love it. Okay. Now we cut to a part where we have the wolf and the Axeman, and they get into this evil lair that Boingo has. Wolf is trying to buy some time by pretending to be, oh, well, let me help you with the redevelopment of your lair and all that. So then they end up getting caught. They're like, okay. Then the whole fight breaks out. And Boingo, he's like, you know what? Y'all, I'm tired of y'all messing with me. Y'all messing with me out here. So then he sends a cable cart down without brakes. And it has Red in there tied up. And he's trying to obviously kill her and get everyone off his back. Granny ends up being able to go down there, rescues Red, and gains her trust back too. Okay, Boingo appears, like he ends up coming down because he's like, nah, I'm off it, all y'all. But he ends up getting caught by the police officers as well. So now everything is said and done. Everything is good to go. So then we cut to this end scene where everyone's, they're having coffee or whatever. And you see that the frog is like, yo, I got this happily ever after agency. And essentially, I want to enlist you all for jobs, because you all helped to solve this crime. And we're eternally grateful for it. So, I mean, y'all trying to make some money? And then that's how it ends. And it's like, Y'all, I enjoyed this movie even when I was younger and still now, okay? I am 26 years old and I still enjoy this movie. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I like the whole flashbacks that they have and how everyone's stuff like related to the other person. It was overlapping and all that. You have Boingo, who was just appearing in everybody's story. I really enjoyed this movie. Let me know if you all have seen this one and what your opinions were on said movie.